So let's face it, guys. Everyone is going to crossovers and SUVs now. That's no surprise. It's been happening for like the past few years. And I think the most important thing now is who has the better crossover. So right now the really hot segment is like subcompact crossovers because they're affordable, they can fit into like tighter spaces, they're really easy to navigate, and then you get the fuel economy benefits, and they're slightly more practical, and of course you have that little bit of a lift to make it an SUV. So I think Lexus has finally caught on because now they have their brand new Lexus UX, which is their first entry into this segment. And I have it today, and I'm going to review it for you guys. Alright, so here it is, the 2019 Lexus UX. So basically this is going to sit right below the Lexus NX as the entry-level crossover SUV for Lexus's lineup. And this specific vehicle that I have is actually pretty affordable. So this has the premium package, which is a little bit of an upgrade. So that's going to put my tester as is priced at around $35,000. You guys can see the MSRP here on the bottom of the screen. And that's with a few options added on. You can get this well below that, probably in like the low $30,000 range, from $31,000 to $32,000, which makes this extremely affordable for a Lexus. And now the exterior color of my tester is called Redline. So this is just a really solid red. It doesn't have any like metallic flake or anything like that in it. It's just a really nice quality red. I do think it makes all the lines on the car look really nice. I do love this bulge here. You guys can see that on the hood, and I love how these lines kind of intersect it right there, and it has this kind of neat area where it's just kind of, I don't know, it just looks really cool. And of course you have your signature spindle grille here in front of the Lexus. Now it is slightly unique to the UX because it has this sort of like brick look to it. I mean, that's the only way I can really think of explaining it. But I'll get a little bit closer, you guys can take a look there. It's very nice. I do like how it's mostly blacked out, and you have some like chrome surround coming down here at the bottom. You have a little bit of like black cladding coming all the way down here. You don't have fog lights or anything there, and of course these are not going to be functional. So if I zoom in here, you guys can see there's zero air. It's going to pass through there. Now the lights on here are going to be full LED, so aside from the turn signals, you have full LEDs on here. They look really nice. You have your signature checker LED, but this one has these two lights on the outside that also act as your daytime running light. I think it looks really cool. It's really unique. No other Lexus has that as of right now, so I do think that's a really neat little feature. Now coming around to the side, you guys can see you have a little bit more like black cladding coming around here, I guess to make it more utilitarian in a way. Now coming to the wheels, I do like the wheel design. I kind of think it has this sort of neat, almost like shark tooth inlay that comes all the way around here. And now they are pretty small wheels. I believe they're going to be about 18 inches or so. So they're a little bit on the small side, but it is a small crossover, so it kind of is fitting in a way. But yeah, it looks great, looks good from a profile, looks good rolling. So I think they're really sharp looking wheels, especially when it's a nice, beautiful sunny day and everything's just kind of gleaming really nicely. I love all the lines on this car. So once again, from a profile, this thing actually looks pretty sharp. Very reminiscent of the Lexus NX, obviously. And coming to the back here, you have like a little mini built-in spoiler. So you guys can see that with your third brake light there up top. Now one thing that's really interesting, so you guys see this light here in the back. So this little part is like a little winglet. So you guys can see here, if you look at it from a certain angle, you guys can actually see the air will pass through the top of that light, which is pretty neat. And then at night, this is basically has this cool Tron look where it goes all the way across the vehicle, and it has these little kind of tiny horns on the end. That's kind of the way I think of it. But it's really sharp looking back end, looks very futuristic in a way. Your UX badge right here. And then coming to the bottom, you have one exhaust pipe sort of peeking out right over here. If you guys can see that. All right, so this is the key for the Lexus UX. So this is the exact same key you're gonna get in cars like the Lexus LC, the Lexus LS, which are both flagship vehicles. So it's cool that Lexus didn't cheapen out on the key, even though this is the entry-level crossover SUV that you can get. So you got your Lexus symbol here in the back, you got this beautiful silhouette, and then you have your lock, your unlock, your hatch release, and then your alarm there at the bottom. So you can get into the car using the key, of course, or if you walk up to the door handle, you have touch sensitive buttons that you can use instead of using your key. All right, so once you walk up to the door handle, you have a little indent right here at the top. You're gonna put your thumb over that. That's gonna lock the vehicle, wait a few seconds, and there's a touchpad behind here, and that's gonna unlock the vehicle. Getting inside the Lexus UX, first thing to note, there's a lot of design cues in here that are taken straight from the Lexus LC and the Lexus LS, which are both Lexus's flagship vehicles. So the fact that you have a lot of those features on this entry-level UX is very surprising, and I'll point those out as I go through the interior with you guys. First thing is going to be this door handle. So this door handle actually first debuted when it was on the Lexus LC Coupe, and you guys can see here, it is such a beautiful design. It's got this really cool curve to it, and it just looks really, really nice. Nice solid aluminum feel right there. You have this really soft textured, almost like a leatherette coming here. If we get closer, maybe you guys can see how it kind of gives right here. But it does have a lot of good feel to it. The grain is soft. Even coming up here, all the grain here on the door is going to be really soft. This is soft touch. This area here is going to be soft touch. You have all of your corresponding buttons for your windows, your door locks. You're even going to have your mirror controls right over here, and of course your window lock right there. Now coming over here, you're going to have your interior illumination located right there. Your trip odometer, you have some blank buttons here for more loaded up trims, and then you're going to have your hatch release, if you guys can even see that, it's kind of dark, and then your gas cap, and then your front hood release right there. One other thing is you do have specific Lexus UX branded mats, which is nice that it's not just saying Lexus, it actually has a specific name of your specific car model, which is nice. A lot of vehicles and a lot of manufacturers don't do that. But let's go ahead and shut the door. Really solid door shut, I do like that. A quick look inside the cabin. And of course it is push start, so foot in the brake, and you're gonna hit this button start. So, starting with the steering wheel. This steering wheel is another feature that is taken straight out of the Lexus LS. This is basically the same steering wheel from the LS. That is the luxury flagship sedan. So you have the same steering wheel from there. The only thing it does have this dark chrome, but it's slightly different from the LS, just ever so slightly. But it's the same basic design. You even have this contrast stitching located right here. You're gonna have this dark chrome going around your buttons here. Of course, your Lexus badge right there in the middle. Now these buttons are going to be for your screen right up here, which the screen also is taken out of the Lexus LS. So same design. You even have this same sort of interesting like texture material going around the outside of the screen. So once again, very impressive. You get all of that on an entry-level crossover SUV. This is going to be for your different screens right here. So if you guys see this over here, I can scroll through, see all kinds of different things here. Very easy to work. Eco indicators, tire pressure, all that good stuff. So 27.7 has been my average, but once again, with press vehicles, we do tend to drive them a little bit harder, so that's probably not the most accurate. Of course, you have your volume, voice commands, phone commands. Over here to your right, you're gonna have all of your cruise control settings. So this does have adaptive cruise with your lane keep assist right there. Now over here to the right, you are going to have automatic wipers, your rear wiper located right there. You guys can probably hear that going off. There we go. And then over here to the left, you're actually going to have automatic high beams and then automatic headlights. So once again, you don't have fog lights, so it doesn't have anything on here for fog lights. Now coming to the screen, you guys already saw this section over here. So coming to the middle, it's very neat. One thing I do like is you see this little needle here? When you rev it, it has this like little hue that kind of follows it back and forth Almost looks like a little cape or something. It's really cool. And of course, when you go through your different modes, it is going to change. So your mode selector is going to be right there. Really nice quality. I love the way it looks. Flick down for eco, which will give you this blue ring, and it'll say eco right down there in the corner. You're gonna push the outside, just like that. That'll throw you into normal, and then scroll up for sport. So, pretty simplistic, and that's basically all you can do with that center screen. And then over here to the right, you have your fuel readout and then your water temperature readout. Really simple. Time up there on top, and then the temperature up there, 45 degrees. So, you do have traction control located here. You push it one time, it'll say traction control off right there. But then if you push it and hold it, that's gonna then turn off everything. So there you go, it doesn't twist back and forth, it's just that button there on the outside. You have this two-tier design here. So you guys can see you've got this like soft leather material here, soft texture right up here. You have this nice little quarter window here with nice big mirrors to see out of. And then coming up here, you have the same screen out of the brand new Lexus ES. So this has the same screen as the ES. It's a real nice sort of like tablet style, but I do like how it's integrated more into the dash. You are going to have a speaker right up here. Once again, continuing on with that two-tier design right here, you have a speaker right back there, and then you have like a vent that goes like under the speaker, which is kind of a cool little design, and of course it's gonna blow right there to kind of defog your windows. And then you have this kind of like, it's definitely plastic, but it looks like a dark chrome, and it goes all the way through there with all of this textured, molded stitching. Now, once again, it's not real stitching, but it does look very nice, and all the material, the texture and stuff is really, really soft. You can probably even see it giving right there. All of your vents here, hazards, your start stop button, which is a really nice solid button. When you push it, it's got a real nice solid feel to it. Even these here are going to look really, really nice. I love the way they look. They are all plastic buttons, but once again, Lexus does a great job of making them look sort of like a darker chrome. Everything works really nice. You do still have a CD player located down here. Heated and cooled seats, so you're going to have cooled seats here. Sorry, it's a little bit dark. Heated seats there. And you have your parking brake right over here, which is so well hidden, you can't even see it. But your parking brake is going to be located right there. I do have my phone way down there if you guys can see it. There we go. So I've got my phone right down there. Now this doesn't have a wireless charging pad or anything, at least not on this trim level. I haven't double checked if you can get it on the fully loaded versions, but yeah, as far as I know, it does not have a wireless charging pad, but you have a nice area to put your phone. I have an iPhone SE, which is a tiny little iPhone, so just know that the bigger iPhones will probably take up this whole space. You have a pop-out 12 volt right there, which is kind of cool. Cup holders are decent. There's not much space between the cup holders and these buttons, so I can see taller like bottles or something kind of hitting that or getting in the way of reaching things back here, especially if you had two in there. That is one thing to keep in mind. The shifter itself, really, really nice. I love with Toyota and Lexus how they have these blue hue, how they have this blue hue around the lettering. So you guys can see that there. Shift it over to the left, put it into manual mode, and then when I go into reverse, you have your backup camera which comes up, which, I mean, it's decent. It's definitely more on like the grainy side, but you know, it gets the job done. And of course in the park, that goes away. Nice, decent shift boot here. You got some dark chrome here, you've got some leather coming right here, more dark chrome where your button is. You've got the infamous Lexus touchpad. You know, I'm sure people who own this Lexus have gotten used to it by now. I've gotten used to it because I've driven so many Lexuses this year, but it's just still not my favorite. You get used to it, and I think that's the thing, is anything I have to make myself get used to isn't really something I want to get used to. I totally just like sounded ridiculous saying that, but you have your map here, your menu, your back, and you have sort of like an options button right here. This, however, is specific to the Lexus UX. I have not seen this on any other Lexus product, but it's really neat. So you have your volume here. So instead of having a volume knob anywhere, you just rest your arm here and then turn it up just like that. It's really cool. I like it a lot. And then you've got your tune right here. So when your hand's just resting, all of these fingers fall exactly where there's a button. So for example, this finger falls where the radio is, my thumb happens to fall where the tune is, my middle finger falls where the volume is, and then my media over here. And then you have these sort of like left and right inner buttons over to the side. So it's really, really cool. I'm actually a huge fan of this, and it's very cool. Your hold button, so brake hold right there. Now the armrest is really soft, very nicely padded. It has the same hinge design as other Lexuses. You guys can see there. Decent amount of space. You have some USB ports here. Then you have an auxiliary port right back in there. I know it's kind of dark, probably hard to see. And then yeah, you have a decent amount of space. Got a ton of stuff in there, as you guys can see. But yeah, and of course you do have Apple CarPlay on here. So you guys can see here is Apple CarPlay working. And then you even have a little pass-through right there for your cord, and then a little area here. Not sure what you would use it for, maybe coins, but yeah, you'd have a little pocket right there. Another thing I think is really nice is the seat design in the UX. It's very unique. I haven't seen this pattern in any other Lexus. So you have this nice quilted look coming right here, perforations there, you have your stitching here on the outside, which runs all the way to the bottom, and then you have this sort of black piece which comes through the middle, and you guys can see you have pretty decent sized bolstering on the seats, but they're very nice. I think the white and the black really contrast very, very well together. It's just a beautiful interior. Once again, for entry-level crossover, I can't stress that enough, guys. It's so impressive. A little bit of storage space there located on top. Auto dimming mirror with home link located right underneath that. Now, one other thing that's really unique is you have the touch sensitive buttons in here. Now, once again, that is super impressive for a car that is as entry level as this. You do have your moonroof, kind of an overcast day today, and of course your corresponding buttons right here, SOS, in case of emergency. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it for the front seat, guys. Let's go ahead and hop in the back seat, and we're gonna check out the room. All right, so sitting in the back of the Lexus UX, I've got a decent amount of room. You know, it is a really small crossover. So as you guys can see, my knees are literally touching the seat. I have this set to my driving position. I'm 6 feet tall, sitting behind myself. So considering, you know, the fact that you have two 6 feet tall people actually fitting right here, it's pretty decent for a car that's this small. I will say my feet room is good. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but my feet can slide underneath, no issues. The seats are very soft, very comfortable. You have a mat pocket right here. You have two vents, so if you have a car seat or anything back here, your children are gonna get air. And you also have two USB ports right down here. Now you do have an armrest, so when you fold the armrest down, I think the biggest compliment is that this is probably some of the softest material I've ever felt in an armrest. It's almost like memory foam, like my elbow just sinks right in. It's real nice and sturdy, and I do like how the cup holders are very deep, so I actually would not be concerned about anything kind of sloshing around in there, which is nice. You have your tether points right back here. Now if I shut the door and sit here, I don't feel claustrophobic. It does feel a little bit tight, but it's not too tight to where I'm uncomfortable or feel like I'm just in a cave or anything like that. The only thing is that I wish the back would recline a little bit, because I do feel like I'm sitting very upright. But other than that, it's a decently comfortable space, especially if you're not going to have 6 feet tall people sitting in the back seat. You also have your handles here, and then you have two hooks for like dry cleaning and things like that. But that's pretty much it for the back seat. Let's go ahead and check out the trunk space. All right, so coming to the trunk of the Lexus UX, first of all, opening the trunk is very easy. There's a button located right underneath here. If you guys can see that, there's a little button there. Push that, or you can use the button on your key to open the hatch. But the best part is that when you do open it, it's very high. So once again, I'm 6 feet tall, and you guys can see I have plenty of clearance. I'm not gonna hit my head or anything like that. But once you come into the back, you have a decent amount of space. So I have my backpack here to use as sort of like reference. But so there's my backpack in there. You know, I could probably fit like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those in there maybe, and then of course stack up if I needed to. But once again, decent amount of space. You do have a little bit of space underneath here. Now, I see little pockets here, so I'm guessing you can probably put little small things in there. I'm sure it's meant to put like a jack and other, you know, tools and stuff like that. But if you're not going to do that, you're going to just keep doing like roadside assistance or something like that. You can definitely use that as like storage space. Now, coming over here, you guys can see there's a light under here. It's a little LED. Now, you can't turn it on and off. It's going to turn on automatically when you lift up the hatch. You even have a little hook right here. You have a tether point right over there. And then on this side, you're actually going to have a speaker back here. And then you're going to have a 12 volt right here. So that's pretty nice. Now this cover here obviously is so that no one can see what is in the trunk of your vehicle. You can take it off by just unhooking these little guys right here and unhooking this, which is kind of complicated. So you know what? Here's a B-roll clip of me taking it off. You guys can check that out. And you can also fold the seats down. So once you fold the seats down, you have a really good amount of space, as you guys can see right here as well. And yeah, it's pretty practical. And for a small crossover, it's definitely plenty of space for anyone who has a little bit of like a smaller lifestyle. So let's go ahead and see what's under the hood, and then we'll go ahead and take it for a drive. All right, so coming under the hood of the Lexus UX, you have a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder engine. It's going to make 169 horsepower and 151 pound-feet of torque. But the cool part is that if you go up to the hybrid version of the UX, you are going to get 175 horsepower, and then of course your fuel economy is going to go up as high as 38 miles per gallon, which is really, really good for this style of a car. Now this is all mated to a CVT transmission. It has 10 simulated gears, and that's all going to be routed to the front wheels only. You can't get all-wheel drive as an option in this vehicle. But let's go ahead and get it on the road and see how it performs. Hey everyone, so driving the brand new Lexus UX. Now, you've probably heard me say this a million times, but here is why I keep stressing that this car is so good for an entry-level crossover. So first of all, usually with entry-level crossovers, it's an attempt to get people into a brand for the cheapest amount of money. Now, granted, this isn't the cheapest vehicle that Lexus makes, but with crossovers and SUVs becoming like the #1 segment, this really might as well be. A lot of people are really gonna skip the cars and the sedans and the Lexus IS and go straight to this because SUVs are like the #1 thing right now. So I predict that in the next year or so, this will become probably one of Lexus's most volume selling vehicles. And with that in mind, you don't feel like they're trying to just barely get you into a Lexus. It legitimately feels like it's not like shunned from the rest of the family. It feels like a true through and through Lexus. And it's really hard to get the same essence from your higher end Lexuses. So let's say, for example, the Lexus LC500 Coupe, the Lexus LS500 big luxury sedan. It's hard to capture that essence and bring it into a cheap, I guess, form factor. And the fact that Lexus was able to do that is probably one of the most impressive things I've seen in quite a while. Now, granted, this isn't the nicest version of the interior that you can get. In my opinion, the F Sport would be the sweet spot in feeling like you're truly in a Lexus luxury vehicle for the least amount of money, but getting the same styling and getting just unique styling at the same time. I think the F Sport is probably the way to go, in my opinion. If you like the sportiness, if you like the looks, I also love the fact that you can get the red leather, though this kind of cream leather isn't bad at all. It's very nice, very pretty. Now, one thing I really like about this car is the steering. The steering feedback is decent, but the precision on the steering is really, really good. You always know exactly where the car is going to go. The steering wheel itself is very small, which I like. It fits well in your hands. It's got this real nice, smooth, creamy leather to it. The only thing I don't like are the buttons on here. Now, I had the same issue with the Lexus LS. All the buttons are flat, and you actually have these little black plastic areas that are supposed to separate the buttons, but the issue is that the little black plastic pieces are about the same height as the buttons themselves, so you can't differentiate what are the buttons, what aren't the buttons, so everything just kind of feels the same, if that makes sense. So I always have to look down to see what button I'm pressing. I'm sure I'll get better at it over time, but it's not something you can immediately get into the car and be familiar with. You do have to, you know, build some muscle memory with this over time. Now, speaking of muscle memory, the other thing that takes a ton of muscle memory, obviously, is this touchpad. I rag on this touchpad all the time. It's really not that bad. It's just when you're driving, it's not the easiest to use. Once again, muscle memory, you get used to it. For those of you who don't want to get used to it, well, you're gonna have to, because there's no other option. You're not gonna get it on the first few times. It's gonna be really difficult, but once you do get it down, I've driven so many Lexuses in the past like 6 months that I pretty much have got this using the trackpad thing down to perfection. So it's really not bothering me as much, and I really can't complain about it anymore because I have it down so well. But I have to remember, for those of you who are just driving a new Lexus for the first time, that's gonna be hard for you to get used to, and these buttons are gonna be very hard for you to get used to. Now, as far as road handling goes, so I just went over a few kind of bumps here. It rides very soft, though you can see a little bit of movement here in the cabin. It actually isn't that bad. It's not like I'm getting beat up. Most of it, I'd say, is due to these seats, which almost feel like memory foam seats. They're that comfortable. I'd say the only other seats I've been in that are more comfortable than these seats are the Tesla Model 3 seats, just because I'm not really sure what material Tesla uses, but you just sink into those seats and it's actually very, very comfortable. So I think the part that Lexus absolutely nailed with this car has to go to the fact that it feels like almost every other Lexus. Now, not downplaying the people who have the higher end Lexuses, but what I'm saying is someone who gets this will fully capture what it's like to own a Lexus vehicle. They'll have that same feeling, and that's important when you're talking about an entry-level vehicle, because even though they're having an entry-level vehicle now, they could be getting an RX later, they can be getting an LX later if they have a massive lifestyle change, and you just never know. So I'd say that putting a good impression right from the get-go, even with the entry-level models, is extremely important, and Lexus knew that because they made this car very, very good. But yeah, I think it's very, very good. I'm gonna do a little bit of a POV drive for you guys to kind of give you a little bit more of a better feel for the vehicle. Now, I do apologize, those of you that are hearing that rattling, it's actually my tripod that I have back there, so it's not the car, just so you know. All right, so getting onto the highway, let's see here. So merging onto the highway is no issue. So those of you that are worried about merging, it is not an issue at all. The CVT actually does a decent job getting this car up to speed. And then once you are on the highway, I'm gonna hop into the middle lane, throw on cruise control. We'll set it to around, let's see here. We'll set it to right at 70. And there you go. So you have radar cruise control. You can adjust it here, obviously. And it works really well. Lane keep assist, so if I get out of my lane, it should steer me back in. There we go. It's kind of ping-ponging me right now. and it'll eventually tell me to put my hands on the wheel. See how long it takes. There we go. So yeah, it does a decent job of keeping me in the line. So if I actually make it go that way, you guys can see it pulling me in. It does a good job. But that's pretty much gonna wrap up driving impressions, you guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Lexus UX at night, and then we're gonna wrap this video up. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look at the Lexus UX at night. Alright, so here's the inside at night. You guys can see the buttons illuminated here with this light blue hue. Gauge cluster. Got your Lexus clock lit up right here. Yeah, everything just looks really nice. Heated seats on. Everything you need to touch is nicely illuminated. And I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but I do have some footwell lighting down here. So you guys can see my shoes lit up. And yeah, it's just an overall really nice looking vehicle. I'll go ahead and step out. Well everyone, that's gonna wrap up my review of the 2019 Lexus UX. For a entry-level subcompact crossover, I really think Lexus did a great job of keeping this vehicle a Lexus. You get in this vehicle and you feel like you're in a Lexus. You don't feel like you're in a really expensive Toyota, even though technically that's sort of what this is. But they did a good job of keeping it in the family. It doesn't feel like it's excluded in any way. It feels like it has all the same touches as you would get even in higher level Lexuses. Obviously, you guys saw through the video, it even has the same switchgear as some of their $100,000 vehicles, which is super impressive, and I don't think I've ever seen any other brand do that ever before. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope y'all enjoyed this, and I'll see y'all next video.